ESPN, it's the TNT Monster Truck Challenge from Roanoke, Virginia. The superstars of monster truck racing soar through the air in pursuit of a world championship. Again, everyone, I'm Scott Douglas along with Chris Chapman welcoming you to the TNT Monster Truck Challenge here on ESPN. Outside in a very busy pit area, but we're about to go inside to the Roanoke, Virginia Civic Center, where the superstars of monster truck racing will be doing battle, including the Gravedigger back in his old stomping grounds and getting ready to put on a show for the hometown fans.
That's right, Scott. And as the 1990 indoor racing season begins to reach its midway point, the drivers are already looking forward to getting outside where they can let loose of that raw horsepower.
We're going to take a look at highlights now from the first night of racing in Roanoke, Virginia on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. They came by the thousands to the Roanoke, Virginia Civic Center. It was homecoming for the Gravedigger, but he'd have to take on the world's best, all the superstars of monster truck racing at the Roanoke, Virginia Civic Center. A year ago, he was the world runner-up in the points chase. I'm talking about the Carolina Crusher. That, of course, the Thunder Chicken. We're looking now at qualifying highlights. Watch Crusher's leap. Up and away as Gary Porter skies in the Carolina Crusher. He still is able to out-qualify the Thunder Chicken despite all this air. Watch Gary Porter again out of Wadesboro, North Carolina. He is launched off the left-hand lane, left-hand as the trucks face him. Wow. Way up there, but he comes down with a quicker qualifying time than the Thunder Chicken. Here we go with Ken Deppy and Whiskey Business. As we face it, it's now the right-hand lane. Watch Whiskey Business. He'll go up as well, way up in the sky. USA 1 and Steve Wilkie out-qualifying Whiskey Business, but Deppy having some problems. Let's watch it again as the truck out of Jefferson City, Missouri gets launched out of that lane. Wow, you can see that Whiskey Business, after locking those wheels up when he came down, suffered some definite damage. And there we get an up-close shot at the smoke coming out of Whiskey Business. Out of Jefferson City, Missouri, Ken Deppy, the Breen Boys Racing GMC out of the John Breen and Bob Breen stable. All right, here he is. This is the one they came to see. Gravedigger laying his qualifying shot down at the same time as Awesome Kong. Steve Kane from Killeen, Texas. Dennis Anderson, the Gravedigger, now out of Kildare Hills, North Carolina. Look at that. That time, it was the rear ends that went way up instead of the noses that shot up. Wow. Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger really digging in. Boy, you got a great shot of it right there. Same thing for Awesome Kong. And luckily, they didn't come off the cars at the same time, or we'd have had a massive collision at the end of the shot there. Mopar Magic, Gary Wiggins qualifying against the defending champion of the world, David Morris, and the equalizer. And look at how strong Morris is here in Roanoke, Virginia. The equalizer, the fastest qualifier. A little rough ride for David Morris, but he's on top again. When we come back, we'll match him up for the first round of side-by-side competition. Roanoke, Virginia, with the superstars of monster truck racing on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. It's Steve Wilkie in Everett Jasmer's True Value USA 1, the big badge Chevrolet out of Ham Lake, Minnesota. His opponent in the first round, Ken Deppy and the Whiskey Business GMC. Wilkie keeps getting better and better every week since taking over for 1988 world champion Rod Litzow in the USA 1 Chevrolet. Transmission problems for USA 1, but he is able to win it anyway. A big advantage out of the hole, and Wilkie limps home a victor. The question is, how badly is USA 1 damaged? Army Armstrong is standing by with driver Steve Wilkie of USA 1.
Biggest question in Roanoke, Virginia. Will you be able to come back in the True Value Chevrolet the next round?
Army, that's the hardest question you've ever asked me. I don't believe so. It takes so long to change a transmission. I don't believe so. We blew the forward clutch back out of the Turbo 400. And when you do that, you don't have second gear or third gear. You blow all of your forward gears.
So bad news for the USA 1 camp in Roanoke. Here's Bennett Clark bringing out the long wheelbase of the Clydesdale Chevrolet. The opposition will be Awesome Kong and Steve Kane out of Killeen, Texas. That's the Jeff Dane Kong stable in Texas. Certainly Dane has been making some of the best monster trucks in the world for several years. This is the best of the stable right now. Awesome Kong and Steve Kane taking on Bennett Clark. Close race, but Awesome Kong able to come away with a victory by about a half a wheel length over Clydesdale. Once again on the replay, you'll see Kong really get to the horsepower when he gets to the cars, and that allows him a wheel length victory over the truck from Powder Springs, Georgia. Well, here he is, Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger with a brand new shop in Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina. Dennis Anderson will bring it out against Kid Rarig's Thunder Chicken. Chris Chapman was able to talk with the kid about facing the Gravedigger.
Kid Rarig, not many monster truck drivers like to be in the position that you're in, going up against Dennis Anderson and the Gravedigger in first-round competition. What do you think?
Well, yes, he's the Gravedigger, and he's about the fastest out there. He's in the first in the point standings. Last time I looked, I was 6th in the point standings, and I'm not afraid of him. I'm just going to give it all I got, and if I lose, I lose. If I win, good.
The Thunder Chicken out of Catawissa, Pennsylvania. And Kid Rarig is off to an outstanding start in 1990. So far, I think the kid's been one of the surprises through the first couple of months of the season. Been very strong, and as he said, he has stayed in the top 10 in points on the World Championship chase all year. But the Digger's been the leader through the early part of the season. He in the equalizer. Let's keep an eye on it here as Dennis Anderson easily dispatches the Thunder Chicken, but has problems at the end of the run. Wow, Dennis Anderson in a Gravedigger, able to hang on to her right there and get the victory over Thunder Chicken without doing too much damage, it appears. Let's watch it again on the replay. You can see him really drive that nose down, and Dennis Anderson's your winner in the Gravedigger. So Anderson puts away Chicken. We'll get one more look from the side. Dennis, notice that he's really keeping those front wheels down and on the cars. It helped him with traction. And boy, did you see that puff of smoke? That's a blown tire.
Dennis, what happened out there?
I don't know, it was a pretty wild ride, you know, right there at the end. I came down a nosedive. Truck got crossed up a little bit, and I hit pretty hard on the right rear wheel and knocked it off the rim, so got to get the tire back on the rim for the next round.
Gonna be any problems doing that?
I don't think so.
Let's take one more look, Chris, at that run. Dennis Anderson in the Gravedigger. Watch when that wheel hits. There you see it. It's just a whoosh. The air just leaves the tire as he blows out the back right side. Getting some help now from John Kwasniewski and Bennett Clark. Dennis Anderson is spraying ether on the tire. They'll now light that. What they're doing, this is supposedly sealing the tire to the rim, and then they'll reinflate it. It'll burn off the ether, and supposedly Dennis Anderson will be back better than ever for the next round of competition. When we come back, the quarterfinals, the TNT Monsters and the Digger coming right back at you on ESPN. The Major League in monster truck racing is TNT. 1 year ago, these two trucks battled tooth and nail for the World Championship, with Equalizer besting the Carolina Crusher. And in 1990, they remain the trucks to beat. It's David Morris and the Equalizer from Springfield, Tennessee, Gary Porter and the Carolina Crusher out of Wadesboro, North Carolina. Side by side in the quarterfinals at Roanoke, Virginia. Here's how it shakes down between the big boys. Too much air for Carolina Crusher. Equalizer gets the victory. However, we understand he has some steering problems that may be slowing him down the rest of the competition. Once again, too much air for the Carolina Crusher, and the victory goes to David Morris despite the problems.
Well, in the first round of elimination, David Morris told us he had an injured truck. David, I noticed you're not even shutting it off. You're letting the builder drive it out. What's the problem?
We're getting a little engine heat now. I didn't want to get it over here and cut it off because it just makes it hard to start once you get heat in those race motors like that, so I need to get it on out.
Okay, in our interview in the previous round when you won, you said you were wounded. You're just going to try to nurse it through tonight. David, that was not a nurse and run. You were laying down a shot there.
Yeah, we got digging around out there in a semi-hauler, and we found the fitting that we needed to fix our hose back on our spring cylinder with, and we got that fixed, so we're back strong.
John Kwasniewski brings the Buffalo Tremor out of Buffalo, New York to take on Whiskey Business Ken Deppy and the Green Boys Racing Toy out of Jefferson City, Missouri. This figures to be a very competitive race. Now the Tremor, the Chevrolet, the GMC Whiskey Business side by side in the quarterfinals at Roanoke, Virginia. Tracy Smart, the starter, waiting for a thumbs up from Ken Deppy in Whiskey Business. He's got it, and they're underway. Close, but the Buffalo Tremor gets the victory. We're going to watch it again as John Kwasniewski able to make just enough horsepower to pull this one out over a hard-charging Whiskey Business.
Okay, Johnny, what did you do different this time than in the first round?
What we did, we let off a little bit coming over the hill. We thought it would smooth out a little bit and I just give it one good launch, but it ain't working that way. It's just taking a bad bounce. We're just going to have to lay right into it the whole way.
Getting a look inside the Awesome Kong Chevrolet. Steve Kane out of Killeen, Texas, and that unusual body shape. They've shrunk that truck as far as width. When you look at it from the side, it looks like a normal Chevy truck, but when you look at Awesome Kong from the front, you can see how narrow it is. Bennett Clark. Bennett stands out with that bright pink driving suit and the pink truck, the Clydesdale out of Powder Springs, Georgia. Of course, Bennett coming back because USA 1 was damaged, the transmission blowing up on that truck, and they're not able to run the rest of this competition. So the Powder Springs, Georgia driver getting a reprieve. Bennett Clark will now try to upset Steve Kane and Awesome Kong. Kong has been in the top 5 virtually this entire season on the World Championship points chase. Keeping the nose to the grindstone, as it were, gets the victory as he buried those front wheels on the cars, and Steve Kane gets the victory over Bennett Clark's Clydesdale. Watch him again as he really is able to keep traction, and that was the difference in the race. The Texas truck gets the victory over the truck out of Georgia. Those red lights just blazing as the crowd in Roanoke roars. Dennis Anderson brings the Gravedigger out of the pits. They've got the tire repaired, and he'll take on North Carolina's Dodge, the Mopar Magic, and Gary Wiggins from Williamston, North Carolina. You get a great look here on ESPN at the most popular truck in the world, Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger. Gary Wiggins, also out of North Carolina, trying to bump him off here. Now, Mopar has beaten Digger before, but frankly, the victories for Gary Wiggins over Dennis Anderson have been few and far between. He'd love to spring the upset right here. You can believe, though, these folks in Roanoke are pulling hard for the Gravedigger. Here they go, Gravedigger and Mopar. Dennis Anderson, get on those binders, Gravedigger, as he holds it before heading to the wall. So Gravedigger goes to the Final 4. We'll see him back in the semifinal round. Coming up next here on ESPN's TNT Monster Truck Challenge. TNT Monster Trucks in Roanoke, Virginia. You got to look at a very unusual creature. That's the Beastron, who's been making appearances at some TNT events. And here in Roanoke, the youngsters get a kick out of seeing this tank that transforms into a 20-foot-tall robot and throws fire all around the Roanoke Civic Center. So the Beastron putting on a show in between rounds, but then it's back to racing. Semi-final action, Buffalo Tremor ready to lock horns with David Morris and the Equalizer, the defending world champ against one of the real upstarts, John Kwasniewski, who's looking good in 1990 with the Buffalo Tremor. Two big Chevys side by side, and the world champ is still dynamite. David Morris and the Equalizer getting a victory and going to yet another Monster Smash final with the TNT Monster Trucks. Boy, you can see David Morris is just dominant as he gets a full-length victory indoors over John Kwasniewski's Buffalo Tremor. The Equalizer soars right at you here on ESPN. Army Armstrong is with your winner, David Morris.
Well, on the night that started out where this young man was crying the blues, just trying to nurse your way through the next round, son, you're not going to the next round, you're going to the last round.
Yeah, I hope I go all the way to the last round and win. I think I'm either going to be racing Awesome Kong or a Gravedigger. Both of those two trucks are real tough competitors, but I'm going to try to be tougher.
We'll all find
Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger. The truck they came to see in Roanoke, Virginia, now has to square off with Steve Kane and Awesome Kong. Maybe the best matchup on paper of the night. Let's see if it translates into that exciting of a race right here. Both trucks pulling to the start line. The clenched fist from Tracy Smart means, all right, tighten up and hold your starting spot. Then when the lights go green, it is showtime. Dennis Anderson gets the win, but he has blown yet another flat tire. Watch him come off. Again, burying that nose gives him the big kick, and when the back end settles down with all the weight from having the rear engine, it blows the tire. He flew the back right side earlier. This time it's the driver's side, but nonetheless, Dennis Anderson has got a lot of work to do in a short amount of time if he's going to be able to make it back to race equalizer in the Monster Smash final. Well, you can see all that weight coming down. If he could have landed with both wheels at the same time, I don't think the tire would have blown. But all the weight came down on the back left, and Dennis Anderson is going to have to go back to work with quick repairs for the Gravedigger. Pit reporter Chris Chapman is heading over to talk with Dennis Anderson.
Dennis, doesn't look like you can keep your tire on the rim here in Roanoke. What's going on?
No, it's just the way that I'm landing. I'm coming down on the nose, and then I hit on the rear and hit sideways. I'm knocking them off the rim, so I guess I'm going to have to put more air pressure in them for the weekend.
So is it your driving you're blaming it on?
I guess you could say that.
Well, Dennis Anderson, always willing to tell it like it is. More work will be done to get the Gravedigger ready as they are feverishly getting after it. Bennett Clark helping Dennis out, so is John Kwasniewski. It's going to take that amount of work to get him ready because time is running out to see if he can make it back to face equalizer in the Monster Smash final. You'll find out if he makes it, and you'll see the race coming right up. He was the champion of the world, the TNT Monster Truck Champ, and Rookie of the Year, and Driver of the Year. He swept it all. David Morris in the equalizer. The truck prepared by Gary Cook out of Springfield, Tennessee. And in 1990, he's picking up right where he left off in 89. Looking good and winning more times than not. David Morris is again in a Monster Smash final, trying to record yet another event victory. Mike Speller, the track official, is giving Gravedigger and Dennis Anderson 4 more minutes to get in the building. What the fans inside don't realize at this point is that Digger is ready, and there will be a roar from the Roanoke Civic Center when Dennis Anderson and the Gravedigger come through that door, because it appears he is going to beat the clock. Tracy Smart now with the stopwatch. David Morris also doesn't know what's going on in the pits, but the Digger is ready, and he's about to come through, so David Morris will indeed be racing Dennis Anderson in the Monster Smash final. The Gravedigger has been the point leader early. Now they see him coming through as the Digger heads through the door for the Monster Smash final. They love him in Roanoke, Virginia, as the crowd gets on its feet for Dennis Anderson and the Gravedigger. David Morris knows he has to take on the Digger here tonight in Roanoke. I think David thought it would probably come to this, as Anderson has been running strong. Morris hopes he's running just a little bit better. Red lights blazing and a clenched fist means Dennis Anderson says that truck is ready to go after the world champion. You know, there's no goal that is higher on the list for Dennis Anderson than to win the world championship on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge in 1990. And nobody knows better than Dennis Anderson that the truck to beat is the equalizer. So this is a big race, not just for points here, because frankly, the difference in first and second here will only be 2 points on the season standings. But this may really be a mental test, and for Dennis Anderson to prove to himself that his Gravedigger is better than the equalizer. Let's see. Look out at the end, contact. The Gravedigger crashes into the equalizer, and he hit him in the door. Is David Morris all right is question number 1. It looks like both guys are... Look at that tangled mess at the end of the track. The equalizer clearly gets the victory, and Anderson got out of control at the end of the track and smashed in to the champion of the world. Let's watch it again. Clearly clearly Equalizer wins it. But as Anderson buries the nose, he comes off cockeyed and smacks right into the Equalizer. Wow! We're going to get a look at it now from the end zone. As Anderson gets out of control, you can see him coming over into Morris's lane. First, he hits the back end, and that takes out a lot of the impact. Then he goes ahead on into the body of the Equalizer. Morris is down, and he's smiling. Mike Wine there to help him out. The victory goes to Morris. He's the winner. But I'll tell you, he's not had any wilder victories than that one right there. One more time, the replay, and you can see Digger blasting into the Equalizer. All you can say is, what a race.
Dave, it's kind of like driving a sprint car, I guess. You're so darn busy driving, you don't really have a chance to get away from situations like that. That was just blood and guts.
Yeah, that other guy, there's two guys out there, and both of you got to do the best you can do. I knew Dennis been getting pretty wild here tonight with every run he's made, getting out of shape, so I was expecting it.
You're sitting there with a big smile on your face. This is just part of the game, man. And when you go to the table and sit down and play ball with these guys, it's going to be part of it.
When you're out here racing side by side like that, it's just like any other motorsport. Things happen.
Well, that's putting it about as bluntly and as directly as you can. Things happen. You know, it's the term that goes through all of racing. That's racing. It is indeed. It's not a show, it's a race. Dennis Anderson was trying everything he could to win the race. He got a little out of control, and he ends up into the Equalizer at the end of the track. No harm, nothing intentional, but Dennis Anderson wanted to win, and he wanted to win very badly.
Dennis, when are you going to learn to drive that truck?
I don't know. That was one wild ride. You know, sitting at the line army, and all night long I've been building the motor up, because the motor's got a stumble in it with those big carburetors I'm running, and I know better, and I sat there at the line, didn't bring the motor up like I wanted to, and it made me look like I was sleeping at the line. So then I just killed it, tried to get, trying to run after him, and that was the first time I'd run that lane all night, too. Really, I should have switched over and tried that lane, but I just got in a real serious nosedive, and the motor went dead on me, and I ran over, and I guess he was coming my way, and I was going his way, too. But anyhow, we locked horns, and this is where we ended up.
This is 1990 Renegade monster truck racing, isn't it?
That's right. If you can't beat them, you got to kill them, I guess.
The Gravedigger kind of got into the Equalizer there. Dennis Anderson going to check on the damage right there. There's David Morris and his wife Nancy, obviously quite shaken by the crash on the track between her husband David and Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger as she gets some support from a friend down on the track. One more time, let's look at one of the wildest wrecks you'll see in monster truck racing. Anderson loses control, and then you can see it's Katie bar the door as he heads right for Morris. And again, they actually hit wheels first. You don't see it from that angle, but you will from this angle. If Anderson doesn't hit the wheel first, Morris really could have been hurt here because the Gravedigger then veered right into the door. But by then, most of the impact was absorbed by the wheels of the Equalizer. You know, we talk about TNT being the major league in monster truck racing. Here's a perfect example. All out all the time. And my goodness, if you ever get a chance to come on out to an arena and see the TNT monster trucks in action, by all means do it. It's the best in the business.
The big boys still doing battle indoors, and the great action comes your way 1 week from today. For Chris Chapman, I'm Scott Douglas. We'll look for you next week here on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge.